Smaller classes so students get the attention they deserve. Schools safe from drugs and violence. And more dollars directly into Oregon classrooms. Molly Bordenaro, endorsed by Oregon newspapers, working to make our schools the best they can be.
Foods that put you in a good mood, Monday at 9. From ABC News, Washington. This week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts. Featuring George Will. And our roundtable with ABC News analysts George Stephanopoulos and Bill Crystal.
This week, an interim peace agreement for the Middle East.
The future can be bright for Israelis and Palestinians if they maintain the will for peace. If we continue to work together, the next generation will grow up without fear.
But critics ask, is there a hidden price? As Israeli spy and American prisoner Jonathan Pollard almost scuttles the deal. Should he be released to Israel? We'll ask National Security Advisor Samuel Berger and former federal prosecutor Joseph diGenova, the man who put Pollard behind bars.
And this week, with 10 days till Election Day, campaigning intensifies. We'll talk with two veterans of the campaign trail, former Majority Leader and Republican presidential candidate Bob Dole, and Senator Bob Kerrey, chairman of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. Middle East peace and countdown to Election Day this Sunday morning. Good morning. It was quite a dramatic moment in the East Room of the White House on Friday with President Clinton and the principals in the Middle East peace talks. And it was down to the wire. It almost didn't happen, and everyone is giving the president credit for having had it take place, Sam.
That's right, Cokie. I mean, at the end, it was like the perils of Pauline, you know, on the railroad track. This peace agreement for a while was lashed to the prison cell of a spy named Jonathan Pollard. But in the end, it did work out, and people are giving the president credit. Certainly, I think when Samuel Berger, the president's national security advisor, speaks, you'll give him credit for this. Welcome, Mr. Berger.
Well, good morning.
Nice to see you. And with us, as always, George Will to join in the questioning. What happened on Friday? Two American officials announced to the press and the world that the deal was done, after which suddenly it was on hold because of Pollard. What happened?
Well, what happened on Friday was that we signed an agreement after 18 months of paralysis that enhances Israel's security, that restores land transfers land to the Palestinians and puts the peace process back on track. That's fundamentally what happened on Friday.
Okay, we'll stipulate that. Now,
during the 9 days before that, this was a roller coaster. There were many ups and downs. This is a negotiation, you have to understand, in which really it was life and death for both parties. This involved really existential questions for both the Israelis and the Palestinians. And therefore, they negotiated intensely, very, very hard. There are moments when we made progress. There are moments when there were setbacks. There were a few near-death experiences.
Excuse me, sir, but if you and I negotiate for land or a horse or anything, and we shake hands after intense negotiations, where we negotiate very hard, and then you say to me, oh, there's one more thing, and that's the story we've been getting from U.S. officials, that Netanyahu at the last, after the deal was agreed to, brought up Pollard. Is that right?
In fairness to Prime Minister Netanyahu, when it's 7 o'clock on Friday morning, when we had an agreed text and believed we had an agreement, and Chairman Arafat left to go back and take some rest before coming to the White House.
And you announced you had an agreement.
Prime Minister, we thought we did. Prime Minister Netanyahu had not said, I agree to all this. I think at the last, when in many negotiations, and I've done a lot of negotiations, at the end, the parties look at what they've got, and look at the task ahead and trying to sell it to their own people, and they say, my God, this is, I got a lot, but this is going to be a hard sell, and so there remained for several hours a final issue.
So you're telling me that Jamie Rubin and Joe Lockhart, two officials of the U.S. government, announced to the world you had an agreement, and Mr. Netanyahu had not yet agreed?
I think we had an agreement. We had an agreed text.
Well, which is it?
Well, I think I'm telling you exactly what it is, Sam. I think we believe that there was an agreement. Certainly Chairman Arafat did, but in fairness to Prime Minister Netanyahu, at that point he pulled the president aside and said, I can't agree to this yet. I want to think about it, and pressed again on the Pollard.
Did the president then say, this is despicable, or words to that effect?
No, absolutely not. There was an earlier instance where the president first of all the paragon of patience during this 9 days. He was the only person who was did not at any point lose his composure. Was enormously patient, tried to understand each side's point of view, tried to bridge the gaps. There was a point in which, on this late 36-hour session, when he felt there was an overstepping of the bounds, and he stood up and walked out of the room and said,
What?
He expressed his impatience with this in a very clear way.
Despicable. Is that the word he used?
I don't know exact word he used. He may have used that word. I didn't exactly hear. I wasn't standing by him when he did that. The point is, in any negotiation, there are ups and downs. I think we need to focus here on the result. And the result is peace process is back on track. We've got a long way to go. It's still a very dangerous situation. There are going to be setbacks. It's going to be difficult to implement. But we're better off today than we were 9 days ago.
Should there be even a review of the Pollard situation? The last time the president looked at it, he said because of the enormity of the offenses, the lack of remorse, the damage done to national security, he should not be even considered for release. What's changed?
Well, this matter comes up periodically under normal procedures as clemency is sought by Mr. Pollard. I don't know whether that's every year or every 6 months, some periodic basis, and that the president has turned down those requests in the past. I think in view of the strength of feeling of Prime Minister Netanyahu on this, the president felt that he would be willing to take a fresh review of it without any commitments, without any agreements, without any prior judgments in terms of prior judgments to Prime Minister Netanyahu. We will do that. We will listen to what our Attorney General has to say, what our military people have to say, what our intelligence community have to say, and others. The president clearly determined that he could not make a fresh judgment on that issue in the context of these negotiations without a complete review of the record.
Speaking of the intelligence community, there is a CIA role in this agreement that seems highly unusual, where the CIA will go and essentially enforce the security arrangements. Is that a safe position for the United States to be in?
First of all, I'd say two things, Kofi. First of all, the CIA is not enforcing the provisions. The CIA will help to facilitate cooperation. They'll play an observer role to determine whether the overall agreement is, security provisions are being implemented. That gives both sides a greater degree of confidence. But I would point out to you that this is not new. In 1973, Henry Kissinger negotiated a disengagement agreement with Sinai in which the CIA played a verifying and monitoring role. They play that role in the Sinai today. They play that role in the Golan. And since 1996, since the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, they've been playing that role in connection with the West Bank and Israel. They have a great deal of expertise. They're one of the best services in the world in terms of fighting terrorism. They want to help build that expertise among the Palestinian Authority and facilitate cooperation between the two, but they're not hall monitors.
You said we have a long way to go, but we have just over 6 months till May 4th, which the Palestinians have suggested would be a deadline, at which point they might declare a state unilaterally. It has been the American position that statehood is a matter of negotiation, not unilateral declaration. Did Arafat give you assurances that he would not unilaterally declare a state?
No, he did not.
Did you ask him?
We spoke to both parties about the risks of unilateral actions on either side, including what you're talking about in terms of disrupting final status negotiations, and urged both sides to refrain from such actions. The agreement does contain a provision saying they would not take such unilateral actions, but the Palestinians did not give up that prerogative. What I would say, George, is that what we need to do now, we now have a peace process back on track. We need to keep the parties negotiating intensely and in good faith to try to achieve that date, or at least to have serious negotiations going on at that date so that we can continue the negotiations.
Ambiguity has its uses in diplomacy, so does clarity. Might it be a good idea for America to clearly say what its policy would be? What would our policy be if they do that?
We have always said that we would oppose unilateral actions on either side, but I'm not going to now, having just come through these 9 days, try to speculate about what is going to happen on May 9th. Our job now is to implement this agreement, initiate the final status negotiations, which will begin in 8 days, keep the parties at the table if we can.
One of the achievements of this...
And let the parties decide on what the final status is.
One of these achievements was that the Palestinians agreed yet again to remove the 26 offensive references to what they call the Zionist entity in their covenant. How many times does Israel have to buy that achievement?
Well, from a Palestinian perspective, of course, Chairman Arafat and the Executive Committee of the Palestinian Authority has made that commitment in a letter to President Clinton. The Israelis do not believe that is adequate.
Do you?
They believe...
Do you?
Well, there will be, under this agreement, a procedure whereby first the Executive Council, then the Palestinian Central Council, and then finally the Palestinian National Committee, which is what the Israelis want, plus other Palestinian officials, will meet in December. The President said he would attend that meeting for the purpose of affirming the peace process, affirming this agreement, and affirming the position that Arafat has taken with respect to the covenant. And the Israelis believe that was a significant step, significant accomplishment. I believe it is too.
Mr. Berger, we're about to move on to the next segment, but before we do, Kosovo. It looks like Milosevic is not complying, not getting out of there. What will NATO do?
Well, I think there has been a good deal accomplished under the agreement that Ambassador Holbrooke reached, but we're not satisfied with compliance at this point.
So airstrikes?
Let me say, first of all, we have seen the Serbian Army combat units that were reinforced leave. We have now 100 million tons of humanitarian aid going in a day. We have 30,000 people coming down from the mountains. There still are many people on the mountains. On the other hand, what he has not done is not taken them up, the internal police, and put them back into garrison, as he said he would, which has an intimidating effect on getting the rest of the people, perhaps another 30,000. So
what are we going to do?
General Clark, as we speak, is in Belgrade. He's making it very clear to President Milosevic that he has to comply, particularly on these provisions with respect to the MUP. NATO has he has the authority to take military action, and are ready to do so if there's not further compliance.
Okay, thank you very much. Coming next, Joseph diGenova, who prosecuted Jonathan Pollard, and later, more foreign and domestic politics with former presidential candidate Bob Dole and Senator Bob Kerrey.
From ABC News, This Week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts. Brought to you by GE. From plastics to financial services, we bring good things to life.
This curl, this smile, this tear, this look you know so well. You want to protect them with life insurance from a name you can trust, GE. Take advantage of GE's expertise to help protect this joy, this love, this hope, this promise. For life insurance and for every step you take in life, you can trust GE to help.
Melvin and Lola Zumbrunnen have a cattle ranch in Lusk, Wyoming.
Come cow! Come cow!
They're probably some of the gentlest cattle in this area.
He sorts through all his cow statistics on Microsoft Excel spreadsheets.
I can take one cow and I can go back and look at all the calves that she's had, and if they're all good ones, I keep the cow.
Melvin uses software to manage his herd because his livelihood depends on his cows.
Franklin Perry may have the safest house on Bristol Court thanks to Liberty Mutual.
Wow! A Carnothoris sapidus. That's one mean bush.
We have over 500 home safety tips, including how to prevent break-ins.
The ancient Greeks called this the bush of pain.
Tips like planting prickly bushes under your windows and installing deadbolt locks. Safer, more secure lives. That's the freedom of liberty. Liberty Mutual.
Joining us now, Joseph diGenova, former federal prosecutor and the man who really put Jonathan Pollard in jail. Now there's a suggestion that the president, after review, may decide to release him. What do you think?
Well, the president, a year ago, when he refused to grant clemency to Mr. Pollard, said this was one of the most serious crimes ever committed against the United States. The president was right then. It would be outrageous to release Mr. Pollard. He has nothing to do with the Middle East peace process, and if he does, there's something wrong with our foreign policy.
But he's serving a longer sentence than spies who spied for the Soviet Union.
Sam, What matters is the damage that you do. Mr. Pollard ranks among the 4 most serious cases of national security damage in the history of this country. Ames, Walker, Pollard, and Pelton. Nothing matches what he did in terms of the compromise of the technical intelligence capability of this country, and he put at risk human lives.
Mr. DeGeneva, we've often traded spies for spies. Why not trade a spy for peace?
We have never traded an American citizen who spied against his country ever. Ever. We have traded the spies of other countries for our spies in captivity in other countries. This would be the first time we have ever given up an American who betrayed his country. It should never be done. It will be a precedent that will live in the memory of the military, intelligence, and foreign policy establishment of this country. They will never live it down, and it will encourage espionage on behalf of allies.
You say that the question is the damage he did. There's also the question of motive when you punish someone. Was he ideologically motivated, or is this part of the new tacky sort of treason we have that it was done for money? He did get some money.
Mr. Pollard was a combination of both ideology and money. It started out as ideological. It ended up as being money. This was to be a 10-year espionage operation where he was to be paid in excess of $500,000, in addition being granted secretly Israeli citizenship to betray his country and to put at risk the lives of seamen, Air Force men, Marines, and Army personnel of the United States all over this world.
There are those who say that if he were released, he would constitute a continuing security threat. What can you tell us about that?
The President of the United States last year said in his refusal to grant clemency that Mr. Pollard remained, in the President's own words, a continuing threat to the security of the United States. If you ask anyone in the military, foreign policy, or intelligence establishment of this country about what Mr. Pollard knew and what he knows today, he is a continuing threat to the security of this country.
The moment this thing came up on Friday and the word began to leak out that that was the snag, the airwaves, the cable waves were filled with people who rushed forward, well-known names in this country and elsewhere, saying the president should release him. Where are these people coming from?
Well, Sam, I think I can understand the willingness of people to want to see a peace settlement. This has nothing to do with peace. If the United States says it cannot broker an agreement, it's being asked to bargain away something when it is not a party to the agreement. It is an outrageous request. The United States has to worry about its own security and its own national security and foreign policy and intelligence interests. Mr. Pollard has nothing to do with this.
Well, the president's over a barrel here, is he not, though? He said very clearly he made no commitment.
Well, that depends upon what you mean by commitment, if I may borrow a phrase from the president.
Well, do you think the president has in fact decided in his own mind or in somehow communicated to the Israelis that he will let him out?
I believe that the president sent a signal which clearly made Mr. Netanyahu believe. This president is very good at sending signals. He is what he is, our president, and I'm sure he sent exactly the same kind of signal that people have received from him in various meetings over the years. If this president releases Jonathan Pollard, his legacy will be, it's okay to lie and it's okay to spy.
But do you think he will?
This president is capable of anything. And if he releases Jonathan Pollard, it will be one of the most disgraceful acts by an American president in the history of this country.
Mr. DeGeneva, you yourself as the prosecutor did not ask for a life sentence.
That is correct. We did not.
It was the judge, Aubrey Robinson, in reading all of the review, who decided to give him the life sentence.
That is correct.
Why do you feel so strongly about this when perhaps he's already served 10 years, he's eligible for parole?
Sam, the level of compromise which Mr. Pollard accomplished is one of the gravest, if not the gravest, compromises of technical and human intelligence in the history of U.S. espionage. He should not be released as part of this process. It would be disgraceful. The reason the judge gave that sentence was because the judge was a veteran. He knew what it meant to compromise the highest technical capabilities of this country involving codes and other things and human agents. It is simply something that those of us who have been forced along this country believe very strongly about. And if the president chooses to ignore that and ignore the advice of all the people in the intelligence and law enforcement community, he has the constitutional right to do so. It would be unwise, however.
Joseph DeGeneva, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
We appreciate your coming in today.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, former Senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole, and later Democratic Senator Bob Kerrey.
In the financial world, to survive, you must keep on the move. It is not a world for the hesitant or the timid. Sometimes, to defend against larger, fiercer competitors, your best choice is merger or acquisition. But beware, lest your careful, well-planned strategy should result instead in failure or doom. In these troubled waters, experience, knowledge, and size are your best allies. If you're considering strengthening your company through merger or acquisition, think first of First Union. Wherever you plan to go, we have been there before. Come to the mountain called First Union. Or if you prefer, the mountain will come to you.
Who are these people? They go to the strangest places, work in the tightest quarters, and gladly keep the oddest hours. Who are they? Forever probing and prodding, digging, exploring. Who are these people? They are Texaco, and what they do is find the energy the world needs to keep on running. Texaco, a world of energy.
Relax. Kick back. Rest easy. Not the first thoughts that come to mind when investing on your own. But working with our financial advisors, you'll feel differently.
Every client's ambition should be our ambition. Their dreams, our dreams.
Isn't it reassuring to know that whatever your goals in a complex world, someone will be looking out for you?
We measure success, one investor at a time.
The jury's verdict
Guilty.
could be too much for one lawyer.
I'm a little concerned about you. I'm fine. She's been up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night since the trial.
You have to let go of it now.
We blew it, especially you. You screwed up the most.
Is that what you think?
Emmy winner, Best Drama, all new Practice. ABC tonight at 10/9 Central.
This week on World News Tonight, the fascination with space. John Glenn is going back. The country may be reaching for Mars.
On ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Welcome, Bob Dole, former presidential candidate and author of Great Political Wit, laughing almost all the way to the White House.
Can we see that? I mean, I don't think
You want to see this book?
look at that. How
Here
much
we
is
are.
that, by the way?
My dog there, too, Leader. He's not very well these days. He's
There
about
seems to be a little
16.
elephant there,
A
too.
little
Yes,
elephant.
right. Political wit notwithstanding, this has been a very interesting week in terms of foreign policy. What do you think? We've just heard a spirited debate on the question of Pollard. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know much about it as Joe DeGeneva, but I think it's something you have to look at very carefully. I don't, whether the president made a promise or not, I've read all the stories this morning. There may have been a signal to Netanyahu. I don't know that to be the case, but if the president said a year ago or 2 years ago, no, he's going to have probably a difficult time changing his mind.
And do you think Pollard should be released?
I don't think so. That's my own view. There may be some time set, maybe say, okay, in 3 years, 5 years, whatever. But it's not part of the, the Mideast peace agreement.
What about the agreement itself? Is it something that you
Well, I
think...
think, as Sandy Berger said, it puts the peace process back on track, and that's a plus. He also recognized there's tough stuff coming up. The final status negotiations are not going to be easy. But I think overall, certainly 9 days, I think was well spent. Got the peace process back on track with a lot of tough bargaining ahead.
You've also been quite outspoken on Kosovo, and you've seen something of an agreement that already appears to be unraveling. Where do we stand there? What should we do? Is it credible for NATO at this point to say you're only halfway complying, therefore we're going to rev the engines of the fighters up again?
No, they'll say you're only halfway compliant, so we'll give you another 2 weeks. I mean, that's the NATO response. But I went there at the request of the State Department and the President, and came back and gave the President a report about 30 days ago. And I remember driving out in the area for 6 hours and going through village after village, and all you could hear were dogs barking. There was nobody home. They'd all fled to the mountains. But I think the point that I would make is that both President Bush, a Republican, and President Clinton, a Democrat, gave Milosevic what we call the Christmas warning. In effect, we will not let happen in Kosovo. It will be let happen in Bosnia. Well, it's happened, and we didn't keep our word. And I think that sends a signal, if you're talking about sending signals, to everybody in the world that we don't keep our word. It's about the character of a nation, not about the character of anybody, any individual.
At the end of your campaign, one of the cries we heard from you was, where's the outrage? Are you surprised, bewildered by, how do you explain the fact that the country, having heard all that it's heard about this president, that it hadn't heard by 1996, and still gives him very high public approval?
No, well, not really. I think there's a great respect for the institution, for the presidency, and Clinton is, of course, very good at what he does. But, you know, it is hard to sort of say, well, 43% say he should resign, 51% say no, 63% give him an approval rating. Depending on which poll you're looking at. But there's not much outrage. I think the real outrage ought to be in campaign fundraising, which I don't think Janet Reno will ever touch, which is unfortunate. I think she will find some way to avoid that, which would be a big mistake.
Senator, he's accused, Mr. Clinton is, of felonies, of crimes. The accusations, of course, are just that. But do you think felonies are an impeachable offense if proved?
Well, I'm going to say what I've been saying, what I said to the president. I said, I think you just let the process move forward and see what happens. Let's hear the evidence. I think Henry Hyde will do a fair job. I mean, he's going to be fair and objective, but I'm not going to try to prejudge it.
Well, the president in November, if Mr. Hyde begins his hearings, will be in Kuala Lumpur. He'll be in Tokyo. He'll be in Seoul. In December, as we've just heard, he'll be on the West Bank, or rather in Gaza. He'll be in the Middle East if hearings are held there. While the Republicans are holding hearings in the House, this president will be bestriding the world like Colossus. How's that going to work?
Well, he's still the president. He can be reached by phone, I imagine, if necessary. But in any event, let's see what happens. I think the election will maybe not be a direct referendum, but it'll have some bearing on what happens after. November 3rd will have some bearing on what happens after the hearings start.
Well, should it? And I mean by that, shouldn't the evidence be judged on its merits and not by the election?
Well, it should be. I think we ought to disregard all the polls. But I think if any poll makes a difference, to be the real poll on Election Day.
And at this moment, it looks like, unless something changes in the next 10 days, it looks like a pretty status quo election, with Republicans not picking up much at all. If that happens, what does that mean for impeachment?
I think it's probably a plus for the president, but I don't see it as status quo. I'll have been in 70-some districts or Senate races or gubernatorial races in the past 6 weeks, and there are a lot of close races. Somebody's going to get a break here. If it goes our way, we pick up a good number of seats in the House and the Senate and gubernatorial races. If not, it is going to be sort of a status quo election, but I'm still an optimist. I feel good about a number of Senate races and a lot of House races, but they're close. They're all close.
Now, you said to the president, let the process go forward. This was in conversations about whether there was a deal to be brokered?
Well, this is just sort of a little visit after I gave my report on Kosovo. And, without saying what he said to me, because I wouldn't repeat what a president said to me, I think it's fair to say he was sort of reaching out. I think that's when they were thinking about maybe getting so many senators to sign a letter. Then Senator Byrd sort of shot that down, said that would be tampering with the jury. But my view hasn't changed. I don't know what the president's has.
So you believe the process should continue. Do you believe the House will present to the Senate a bill of impeachment for the Senate to examine and vote on?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard the evidence. And I've even suggested maybe all these people who sit in judgment shouldn't be on talk shows every Sunday prejudging what happens.
Senator Hatch, who might be a juror?
Senator Hatch, he's going to be a juror someday, but they have to make that judgment. Maybe they can separate the two, but it's difficult.
Before I turn you back, I have been told, and I just want you to either confirm or deny it, that in February of next year, a Dole will once again announce for the presidency, only not you, Elizabeth. Is that correct?
What date?
Well, I want to ask you. I've been told that.
Well, it's Lincoln's birthday.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I've talked with her about the general subject.
And what have you two said?
There will be an election in 2000.
Now, you pulled that line on Letterman now. Come on. Seriously, Senator,
I don't know.
What do you think about your spouse, your wife, Elizabeth Dole, running for the presidency?
Well, I think she'd be an excellent candidate. I mean, I think she's suited for the presidency and has the background, the experience, the temperament, the intelligence, integrity, things that people look for, or will be looking for in 2000. But there are a lot of good candidates. Whether or not she'll run, I don't know.
How would you feel about being first gentleman?
Dole gets Dole endorsement.
Yeah, first gentleman.
Well, I'd at least finally get a little footnote in history. I've been trying for years.
Well, Thank you, Senator Dole.
right,
It's nice to have you back at our table. Coming up next, Democratic Senator Bob Kerrey.
I always liked building things. I built my first skyscraper when I was 7. Today, what I want to build most is a secure future for my son. So I took a few steps and called T. Rowe Price, the no-load mutual fund people. They have all these planning kits. You see, I prefer to do my own investing. Look, I've always been good with kids, even really big ones.
For over 50 years, we've been helping people invest with confidence. T. Rowe Price. Turning on the light, I was immediately aware of something different. It was the same room. She was the same woman. Yet somehow, incredibly, something had changed.
The Enrich bulb from GE. Its innovative glass filters out rays that dull colors. Blues look bluer, reds redder. Almost everything looks better.
Her blue eyes blazed. Her black hair burned. She turned to me. I turned to her and said,
That's some light bulb.
The incredible Enrich bulb, only from GE.
Just a thought, that's what Einstein said. Just a view of the future, 2 paces ahead. You're thinking about me, I'm thinking about you. All the good things a little good thinking can do. Good thinking means new ways of looking at things. Mona Lisa was smiling cause she could see wings spring from the brush. With each stroke of genius, the good things a little good thinking can do.
This week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts will continue in a moment after this from our ABC stations.
Monday, Pittsburgh meets Kansas City. It's not a playoff game, but it might as well be one. Monday at 8 on ABC.
If you drive a car, value principle, or worry about security, it's all on the line in our race for Congress. Because one candidate, liberal Brian Baird, would vote to keep gas taxes high, wants to legalize same-sex marriage, and would deprive women of protection against stalkers. The same Baird who can't make up his mind about a balanced budget, about supporting our military, or about taxing seniors on Social Security. Baird, dangerously liberal and dangerously wrong.
I'm not willing to let Oregon grow at the expense of our livability, especially when we're smart enough to have both. The Oregon Challenge is my plan for Oregon's future. It focuses on managing growth to protect our quality of life. It maintains our transportation system, strengthens land use laws to protect farm and forest land, and discourages strip development to reduce congestion. Oregon, it's a special place, and I intend to keep it that way. So call for a copy of the Oregon Challenge, and together, we'll make Oregon even better.
Bordenaro and Wu debate Sunday at 6 on Town Hall.
Joining us now from Omaha in the great state of Nebraska, Senator Bob Kerrey, chairman of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. Welcome, Senator.
Thanks, Sam.
Good to see you. You heard some of that. I mean, what do you think about Elizabeth Dole running for the presidency?
She'd be tough.
Okay. Now, on to this election this November. I think you said there are about 7 toss-up races. At the moment, you only have 45 seats in the Senate. Republicans have 55. How many are you going to pick up?
I don't know. I mean, they really are too close to call. I mean, I think the failure of the Republicans to get a budget that satisfied the American people at the end of the day is not going to be good news for them. I mean, we just have to wait and see. I mean, our candidates are fighting hard on health care, retirement, Social Security, other issues like education are important to their voters, and we're confident that we can do well, but there's a long ways between now and a week from Tuesday.
Well, excuse me, isn't this rather unusual? I mean, it's really standard for people in your position to say, oh, we're going to pick up, 5 seats, 6 seats, something like that. You think you could probably, come out a wash?
I think we could probably come out a wash. Is that what you're looking for? You're looking for an expression of confidence? I'm confident that we're going to do well. In the off-year elections, we normally lose seats. So in the off-year election, which is like this one, I think we can't come out there and presume that we're going to tell the American people that we're going to be picking up seats. I think we hold where we are right now. The American people have to ask themselves, do you want more Republicans in the Senate? I think they are going to be asking it based upon performance of campaign finance reform, Patients' Bill of Rights, Social Security, other issues. But as is always the case, The amount of money that you've got the last 10 days of the campaign is going to determine how well you do.
Well, and you're $110 million down from the Republicans. So what does that mean, how you're going to do?
Well, we have truth and justice on our side. I mean, I hope that the American people can see through and have a chance at the state level to make a determination based upon their candidate being on the air a sufficient amount that at least they're credible.
One candidate who is on the air but has ads that he's not very happy about, Russ Feingold in Wisconsin. You have ads in there on his behalf that he wants you to take off the air. Will you?
We're going to try to. I mean, first of all, the independent campaign has to be run independent of the candidate. So what the candidate wants to do or doesn't want to do, I typically wouldn't listen to it. The Democratic leader, Tom Daschle, has asked me to take him off. We've sent instructions to the television stations to take him off.
But why would you even put ads on that a candidate doesn't want?
I'm trying to win races.
And you think that he was you think he's in enough trouble?
Well, the Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee put at least $3 million of soft money advertisement on television in Wisconsin trying to win that race. I mean, I don't know if they called their candidate and said, gee, is it okay to put him on? I mean, I was asked by Senator Daschle to chair this committee to win races, not win friends.
Senator, you said a moment ago that the Republicans should be embarrassed by and perhaps will be hurt by their performance in this budget deal. You voted against it, 28 others did also. In that, however, what they sort of made mincemeat of the president's proposal when he said in his State of the Union address and often since then, I propose that we reserve 100% of the surplus for Social Security. He didn't want that, did he?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they agreed not just to what the president asked for in that regard, but and they agreed on education. They caved on practically everything. But my principal objection, and I think where the Republicans are hurt, is that the budget law, the law of the Congress, requires us to have 13 appropriations bills done. That's government of by and for the people by the 30th of September. Instead, we had government by for people who sat down and cut deals that nobody knew about. And at the end of the day, I could not cast a vote in good conscience saying that the people of Nebraska, at least through my vote, knew what was in this piece of legislation.
But you once said of Mr. Clinton that he's an unusually good liar. When he said that he proposed...
You said it, Senator.
that when he said that he proposed to save the entire surplus, was he fibbing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think he
But you guys didn't do it.
No, the budget agreement at the end of the day does spend some of the surplus. Republican leadership went along with it. Democratic leadership went along with it.
Senator, was the $21 billion designated emergency to get out from under the caps, is that just a plain fraud?
No, I don't think it's a fraud, but it certainly is.
Were they emergencies?
It's in conflict with the statement that we're going to save Social Security first. We're not going to spend any of the surplus. I mean, there are a number of ideas that already have been introduced that would save Social Security and allow a tax cut, allow us to do essentially what was being proposed by this particular budget, but we didn't do that. We cut a deal, end of the day, that I don't think it's going to be very satisfying for the American people when they see the details.
Senator, you talked about the things this election is going to be waged on. One of the underlying questions is the whole question of impeachment. If the House sends an impeachment, articles of impeachment to the Senate, will you say now that you would definitely vote against those articles of impeachment?
No, I would neither say that I'm going to definitely vote against them or definitely vote for them. No, I'd have to see the details of them. I think the Republicans have not handled this impeachment process very well, and they've suffered as a consequence. But I'm not going to vote based upon looking at an opinion poll to try to determine whether or not the most serious vote that I could cast in the United States Senate is going to be cast as a consequence of worrying about opinion polls. So, I mean, I don't know what the House is going to do. My guess is it's a decreasing possibility that they're going to send over articles of impeachment.
Why?
Well, because the House does run every 2 years. The House is very much aware of public opinion. The House does tend to be affected by public opinion, and the Republican majority may have to decide: do we want to hang on to the majority? Do we want to press this bet?
You're on the Intelligence Committee. What's your view of Jonathan Pollard, the spy? Should he be released to Israel?
Well, I feel almost as strong as Joseph DeGena, but I would say absolutely not. I mean, he gave away 350 cubic feet of top secret information. Arthur Walker, who's also in prison, he got 3 life sentences. He's there for getting rid of confidential information. No, the sine qua non of intelligence is that if you're working for the United States government, you give away secrets, you're going to do hard time. This guy's been giving away secrets since he's been in prison.
So
I
you're...
would say absolutely not. He should stay there for the rest of his life.
Well, let me move on then to Kosovo. It looks like NATO is caving on it, or at least the deadline is up on Tuesday, I think, for the next 10-day extension. What do you think is going to happen? What should happen?
Well, I think that what the United States has done once again is lead, and we're at least going to be able to say that we've saved some lives over the winter. This is not an easy thing for us to do. At some point, Sam, I think it's very important for the United States to put our priorities in order. I think that what's going on in Russia now is a greater threat. What's going on in Iraq is a greater threat. What's going on in North Korea is a greater threat. We're going to have missile incidences between now and the time we come back into session. And I think at some point the United States has to say, here's a situation the Europeans are going to have to handle. And we threatened Milosevic, and we didn't carry through on it.
Senator,
we've gotten an agreement that enables us to get something, but it's always true. If you put a marker down and then you don't follow up with a threat, you're not likely to be believed next time around.
Could you elaborate on that tantalizing thought about a missile incident before you come back into session?
Well, I mean, I just think you're going to... No, I'm not predicting it. I would not want to elaborate further other than to say we've seen what the North Koreans have done. We've seen what the Iranians have done. We've seen what both India and Pakistan have done. Our capacity to control the proliferation not only of weapons of mass destruction, but also missiles, is decreasing. It's increasingly a threat to the United States. And increasingly, I'm very much concerned specifically about what's going on in Russia. We could come back into session and have 4 or 5 different countries over there instead of one. There's a lot of instability right now in Russia, and they have 6,000 weapons, and I'm not given much comfort by the fact that they're not targeted at us. I mean, they could retarget in about 2 minutes.
Senator, our time is up. I began by asking you about Elizabeth Dole as a presidential candidate. What about Bob Kerrey?
He'd be tough, too.
Are you considering, running?
I'll make a decision at the end of the year, and it'll either be yes or no.
So you don't just automatically cede it to Al Gore?
No, I don't want to cede anything automatically, but I have to decide, do I want to be President of the United States? Do I want to serve that way? If I don't absolutely feel like I'm ready to make that kind of commitment, then the answer will be no.
Thank you very much, Senator Kerry. Always a pleasure to have you. I hope you'll come back.
Okay.
Next, our weekly roundtable with ABC News analyst Bill Kristol and George Stephanopoulos. In a moment.
A place of visionaries. A place of dynamos. A place where if you want, you really can change the world. A place of doers and darers and shapers. Who's next? The New York Stock Exchange. The world puts its stock in us.
It flies away from false boundaries.
Through the rare air and blue altered sky. Silent and proud.
It rides on the glory of the world-waking day.
The GE people who service jet engines share a common passion for their work.
Genius of steel, web of power.
And none express this more poetically than the GE technicians in Nantgarw, Wales.
It was all shining and bright, spinning in time.
And I heard in the turning
the whisper of truth, working in wonder, humbled in detail.
I stand spellbound
in the beauty of perfection. In GE service sites all over the world, the result of all this pride and passion is simply jet engines that run like pure poetry.
And so in the legend of Blue Fields, the sleep of the innocent lay undisturbed and just.
We're building them with steel and concrete, with hope and imagination. Every day, for nearly 200 years, Chase has been building the right relationships, creating more opportunities than ever before, to take you places you've never been, do things you've never done. Chase, the right relationship is everything.
On 2020 tonight, their love thrives even though they're both deaf and blind. Barbara Walters with the most incredible couple you'll ever meet. Plus, Diane Sawyer's interview with Oprah Winfrey. Watch 2020 tonight at 9, 8 Central.
With Jimmy Smits in only 4 more episodes, you don't want to miss this.
Are you okay?
I am okay.
Oh, God. You can't stand up.
Better boy, Martinez!
Bobby, what's wrong?
All new NYPD Blue. ABC Tuesday. Viewer discretion advised.
Middle East peace, a pretty good moment for Bill Clinton, standing there in the East Room, presiding over some very good news. Bill Crystal, make a difference?
Well, it makes a difference in the Middle East. Bill Clinton is good at peace processes. I mean, one has to say that. Northern Ireland, the Middle East,
Well, that's not nothing.
It's not nothing, and it is not a trivial thing for a U.S. president to be a good mediator. I would argue that ultimately the failure to stand up to Saddam and the failure to stand up to Milosevic is more of a problem for a U.S. president than the fact that he's good at helping peace processes along. I think long-term, those dangers are greater, outweigh the good he has done with the peace process.
But let's give
let's give him credit.
I mean, it was a great moment, and he did it. I mean, he did it twice. On Wednesday, when Mr. Netanyahu said, I'm leaving at 10 o'clock, get my airplane ready, and Bill Clinton, in effect, said, hey, I'm not going to rush over there. And we didn't leave at 10 o'clock.
And no helicopter was
We didn't leave at 10 o'clock. And then on Friday, at the end, if we believe U.S. officials, when Netanyahu tried blackmail. All right, now, you have to have this agreement. You've announced it. I'll take Pollard. And the president said, no.
You think it was
I just think that's as good as it
that
gets.
a deal had been made?
I don't think a deal had been made, but it seems to me the Israelis were put in a position where they had to yield something, and they yielded a lot. They yielded continuity and contiguousness is what the Palestinians got. They got an airport, and they got the president in Gaza at a crucial moment. These are elements of statehood, and that's very important. The question remains, when this becomes the 22nd Arab state, will it be the first Arab democracy? There's no sign of that. The Palestinian Authority runs a police state now in the West Bank and doubtless will continue to do so. The real question is what happens May 4th? If the Palestinians go ahead and declare a state, the Israelis may, and I hope will, immediately annex the remaining 60% of the West Bank. Then you'll have a simple dispute, border dispute between two states, and it's easier to manage that.
But there's no indication yet that Arafat is going to declare a state.
Except he said he would.
He said he may, and he didn't talk about it in this setting. The president clearly does deserve credit for what happened this week. He invested a lot, and it shows the benefit of experience in the White House. He's now been there for 7 years. He's been through all the peace processes, as Bill points out, and it also ties into his personality. You know, the things that drive you most crazy about Bill Clinton in a situation like this work. He can see gray. He can understand both sides of the argument. He brought people together and was very disciplined.
It also shows he has a pretty good team. I think Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State, deserves a lot of this credit because she was there on the ground every moment. The president got little sleep during the week. And Dennis Ross. The word indefatigable was invented for Dennis Ross, who has served administrations beginning, I think, with Ronald Reagan, certainly George Bush, in being the guy on the ground in the Middle East. I think they deserve enormous credit.
Absolutely.
I think, and also, of course, if it had fallen apart, the president would have gotten tremendous blame, so it's only fair.
Well, that's only fair.
It's only fair to give credit. But the Pollard situation is worrisome.
Not to me. I mean, I've got to say, I've heard everybody this morning, and if this were the sticking point, if this were the final obstacle to a deal, what would be wrong with turning over the prisoner, a sacrifice for peace, in order to build a lasting peace? What would be wrong with
But
that?
if the president's going to do that, he ought to say it publicly and just that way. There shouldn't be this fiction that maybe, we made a review and there's this point here. He should say, I'm going to give him Pollard because I think it's that important.
If it's that important to Netanyahu, it's that important because he has domestic imperatives that this speaks to. The president can certainly say, we've heard from Mr. Kerry this morning, Mr. DeGeno and others, the president can turn to Netanyahu and say, I've got my own domestic problems, I can't do this.
Well, it's not like millions of Israelis were saying to Netanyahu, free Pollard. The reason Netanyahu, I believe, raised it is that he had some indication from Clinton that he might be receptive to this, and it would help him at home.
But
I think it's a big mistake. I think it is they raised it, but they did not expect to get any satisfaction.
It's not just the first prime minister.
But I think it's a big mistake for Bill Clinton to put that on the table, because now the pressure will be very great, as George suggests, for him to give over Pollard at some point. And I agree that that is a terrible precedent.
I think it's an awful precedent. I think that it really is a terrible thing to say we're going to give away our people who have done this kind of damage to the United States of America. And the point that both Mr. Jim and Senator Dole made about and Senator Kerry about veterans, I think, is terribly important.
That's right, Cozy, but we always say when you're going to make peace, whether it's in Northern Ireland or the Middle East, you have to make tough choices. You have to turn your back on hatreds. You have to turn your back on the problems of the past.
But this is somebody who spied on the United States of America and the peace is in the Middle East. So this is not,
But we're saying peace in the Middle East is important to our national security. It didn't come to this yet. But if it did, it would have been a small price.
Well,
You're the pragmatist, ever the pragmatist, George.
There's a principle behind peace.
George, there is going to be a Palestinian state someday. I think you're quite right to suspect that that will be the end result of this process. But what's wrong with that as long as there are the security guarantees for Israel that will preserve her safety?
Look, the Israelis of all people in all the world understand the modern principle that peoples find fulfillment in states. Theirs is 50 years old. The Israelis also understand that this is the 60th anniversary of Munich, where a small state was sacrificed for the convenience of large states. And the Israelis are not prepared to die so that the world will speak well of them, as Golda Meir said. They have to look to their security. And the fact is, we've yet to see the Solzhenitsyn of Syria. We've yet to see the Sakharov of the Palestinian movement. We've yet to see the elements of safety emerge on the other side.
But it's not safe the way it is now either. And I did think that in some ways the most remarkable statement in that ceremony on Friday was Arafat saying that no Israeli mother should have to worry when her son or daughter is late.
They've heard it before.
I understand they've heard it before, but they haven't heard it from him, and they haven't heard it with any kind of backup before.
And clearly, Netanyahu would not be making this agreement if he didn't think it was in his security interest.
Now, the question is, will this make any difference in our own elections, which are coming up in 10 days? No, says Sam. George?
Probably not, but you know, this does have some eerie resemblances to 1994. 2 weeks before the 1994 midterm elections, the president ratified a peace agreement in the Middle East.
And then look what happened.
Except that what he did, he came back and started a campaign. Now, he didn't lose because he campaigned, but the White House has learned a lesson from that. He will not be out on the campaign trail in this last week. The elections will be run on a local level.
He's out on the campaign trail this weekend.
No, fundraising. He's not going to be doing big rallies in the closing days.
But he wasn't doing those anyway.
No, in 94 he did.
He's going down to Florida on Thursday to watch John Glenn go up in this thing. And that's campaigning. That's campaigning.
Could it have the effect, though, Bill, the Democrats have been so depressed. Do you think that it might make them feel better about the president and more likely to get out and vote?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, he did his job as president, but it doesn't change your view of whether, Al D'Amato or Chuck Schumer should be your senator or whether your local congressman should be reelected. I mean, I've been struck traveling around this week how much the races, as always happens in the last 2 weeks, are becoming statewide and local races. The ads are up. People really are focusing on the choice, and it becomes a choice of a particular candidate. And I think that helps Republicans in some states. It's probably helping Democrats in some others. The generic ballots remain tilted mildly in a Republican direction, and I think it'll be a pretty good election for the Republicans.
I looked at it seat by seat finally this week, and of course it can change in the last 10 days a lot, and there's a lot of money out there. But I see 2 to 12 Republican seats, 12 at absolute max at this point.
Well,
in the House.
Go ahead, George.
If you look back to 1980 when the Republicans captured the Senate, a shift of a tiny number of votes would have kept the Democrats in control. In 1982,
Same with 86.
And in 82, I believe, 38,000 votes over 5 states would have given the Senate back to the Democrats. So you can have a huge difference on
And the same thing was
insignificant
true in 86 when everything broke the Democrats' way.
Let's say that, granted, people are going to vote locally. Still, it makes a difference that the president is not bleeding all over the landscape. And the fact is, second terms are almost always disappointments. This president has never been healthier than he is now. In the first term, he couldn't get gays in the military got bogged down with. He couldn't get his stimulus package. The health care thing comes a cropper. Now, in the last week, he has routed the Democratic
healthier. To some extent, we're talking about the Middle East, I think, to his credit. He did it. But his enemies have helped him prodigiously. The Republicans have helped him as if they had a secret pact. Talk about an understanding.
And this time the Democrats may have actually missed a bet. Go back to 94 again. What were all the ads in the 94 campaign?
Morphing.
Democratic candidates morphing into Bill Clinton because he was so unpopular. The Republicans are not doing that this time. But the Democrats may have missed a bet to nationalize this election. About a week ago, it looked like if you would have pushed very hard on we want a Congress that will not impeach, that will not waste another 6 months on impeachment, that might have helped. But they didn't do that, and that might hurt them at the very end of the margins.
I think that's wrong. And in those ads that Jay Inslee was running, we showed, I think, last week in Washington, people were coming out from those really very disturbed by them.
But this is a turnout election. What do you do to get your base energized to get them to the polls? And that might have done it.
Well, we saw something this last week, a man accused of murdering his opponent. Now, somebody said that is the height of negative advertising. I mean, forget the spin doctors, forget the pollsters, forget all of the consultants. Just pop him. Now, that's an accusation. That's not been proved.
You know, Sam, another murder this week may actually turn a Senate race. There was a horrible incident Friday night in New York. An abortion doctor was assassinated. A sniper took him out. And that could end up, Chuck Schumer was already running ads against Senator D'Amato on the abortion issue, and that could end up increasing the turnout for Schumer.
What do you think, Bill?
I can't believe people are going to vote for or against the Senate candidates because some nut murdered someone. I'm so depressed by this conversation. The idea that Bill Clinton is at a moment of epic strength now.
Think about it. The Republican Congress has slunk out of town with its tail between its collective legs. Well, the president has signed a peace agreement. Compared to when the Republicans had 43, the Republicans had 43 senators, he's doing terrific.
But going back to he is going to be impeached. I mean,
can you believe that race in New York will be turned on the question of who called whom a putz head? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, that's the kind of record. Sam, watch your language. I want to disassociate myself. I want to disassociate myself.
I'm quoting Junior Senator from New York, Alphonse D'Amato.
At Invesco, we know that the financial world isn't always as it seems. The big economic picture can always change quickly. And to manage a fund, Invesco knows you need to be on top of the changing picture and know how it might affect you right at home. Invesco, a family of no-load funds. Over 65 years of experience, a global perspective. You should know what Invesco knows.
Introducing the remarkably innovative GE Profile Performance range with a revolutionary bridge that connects burners so you can cook any size dish. And its true temp oven is the most accurate in America, so you can also bake and broil like a gourmet. It's so versatile, you could get carried away.
Dad, I usually just have cereal for breakfast.
The incredible Profile Performance range, only from GE.
They will do business at a pace we can't conceive of. Where in the world will they get the energy they need? Today, Southern Company is taking its 70 years of experience to Europe, Asia, and South America. At home, we're trading electricity and gas, reinventing the way business will buy energy in the future. So when they travel through life at the speed of light, we'll be waiting for them, with the power on. We are Southern Company, energy to serve your world.
Dad? You look good. Lost weight?
Cut the act, Phil. I need to tell management what's happening with our website.
Okay.
In terms they can understand.
Every buck we spend, we'll earn $2 back by the end of the year.
The power of love has no boundaries.
Don't give up on him.
Oprah Winfrey presents David and Lisa next Sunday only on ABC.
Tonight on 2020 Sunday, Diane Sawyer's interview with Oprah Winfrey and Barbara Walters' most memorable interview. Guess who? 2020 Sunday tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern.
So, I don't know who.
I don't know either.
Okay, and this evening on World News Tonight Sunday with Carol Simpson, reaction in Israel to the Mideast Peace Accord. And tomorrow on Good Morning America, NASA Administrator Dan Golden talks about John Glenn's return to space. And that's all for this Sunday. Until next week, that's This Week.
Join George Will at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time at abcnews.com on America Online. Keyword ABC News.
MOs, so they can't stop docs from telling you all your options. Protected our drinking water at Bull Run Watershed. Voted to balance the budget and has town meetings in every county.
Well, Harry, maybe Ron Wyden has a clone.
Hey, catching anything? Well, I'm voting for both of them.